Hi guys, Freddy here with the story of how my Dungeons & Dragons campaign has fallen apart and collapsed. Well, it's not totally collapsed, but my plans have. What I'd got mapped out from the campaign has gone. It's fallen apart and gone off in a totally random direction, and I have to make new plans, and we'll see where that goes from here. But I wanted to share a little because it might be useful to some people and might just amuse you as how badly things can go. You see, my youngest son, who's been in some of the videos, was playing with a group of his friends, and I'd also arranged a role-playing group with the kids of my role-playing group, but both of them kept falling apart. The kids of my role-playing group, as the parents went away on holidays and with work commitments they couldn't deliver their kids, and 6 months passed between role-playing sessions. And with the kids themselves, they couldn't get somewhere to play. You need a fairly decent amount of space to run Dungeons & Dragons. You need a table, you need chairs, and the kids couldn't really get something together. They played in a few bedrooms and things, but that was very irregular timing. So I set up something at the local community centre and I'll run the games. Hopefully they'll take over eventually. I've got some interest from a couple of the kids who want to run their games, so I can sit back and just make it a safe place for them to game. Now, I started my campaign in what I thought was going to be a fairly interesting way. Instead of them just being people meeting in a bar, I came up with the idea that there'd be passengers on a ship. So, to stop the first session being character creation as well, I created a bunch of passengers on the ship. I made up, I believe it was 12 characters of different races and different classes, and the kids could choose which character they liked best. And the ship then was travelling across the ocean, taking them to a big city where they would start their adventuring careers, but it ended up running aground on a mysterious island which appears out of the mists, something which isn't on any charts, and the players have to go onto the island as the most capable characters and find out what's happening. And we've spent a bunch of adventures as they explored this island. They found a mansion which was haunted by undead. They found run-aground ships which also had appeared over the centuries as this island appeared, a bit of Brigadoonish. And they ended up finding the evil lich, which was controlling the island and making it fade in and out of existence, and defeating him. Even though they were low level, I definitely biased things in their favour, and that was where the first set of adventures ended, with the island fading away back into the mists of time and them carrying on their journey. Now for the second adventure, I had a bit more time to plan out. I knew they liked Dungeons & Dragons, I knew the kids had been turning up because it's been about 6 months by this point. They're coming to every session, they're having fun, we know who are the reliable characters and who are just turning up once in a while, and I could plot out a campaign. Now my idea was to dig back to one of my old characters. You see, in my Dungeons & Dragons career, I've generally played members of the same family. I played Elf Ranger, and then his daughter, and now I'm playing her son. I played generations of the same family. And I came up with the idea because the first 2 generations were under the same dungeon master, and the campaign he ran was what he called the Heroes of the Silver Crowns, where the different characters obtained silver crowns which gave them telepathy, which allowed the characters to communicate over any distance, which allowed people to chat round the table even when their characters were separated by miles. And it really worked. And I liked that idea, so my thoughts were, because now I'm playing the grandson of the first character in a campaign by a different dungeon master, and the silver crowns are no longer part of it, that my second character, my 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons character, would pass on the crowns to the characters of these kids, and they would be the legacy of the original groups. Now, back in the days of me playing characters in Dungeons & Dragons, I used to write extensive backgrounds. We're talking 15, 16 pages of full text of just the background, writing what the characters had done. And I went back to my 3rd edition character, the character who last had the silver crowns, and looked at her background. And in her background there was a necromancer. and I thought it'd be interesting to bring that character back. She'd featured in one of my 3rd edition adventures. My Dungeon Master had taken advantage of that character for some background fleshing out of an adventure, but she'd never really been detailed in it. And I thought it'd be interesting to have her popping up, and the new characters would take over my old character's job of defeating her. She'd be the end of campaign Nasty, though, a powerful necromancer who'd leveled up with my original character, so she was now 20th level, incredibly powerful necromancer, but they would be defeating her plans and powering up until eventually they would fight her. That was my campaign. Evil necromancer plans to mess up the world in pretty bad ways, and they would be heroes fighting that. So, I wrote my first adventure for this campaign. They're on the mainland. They get contacted by a guy, a squire who controls a local village. He protects it. The village has been besieged by undead, and he wants some heroes to come and defeat the undead. And they would find that this necromancer is animating the undead to dig down into the ground to unearth an artifact. And that would be the campaign. As they find this artifact, they find out about this necromancer and where she plans to go next, and they would meet up with my old character and receive the Silver Crowns and become the new heroes of the Silver Crowns. So my second adventure starts with the players arriving in a dockside tavern, coming off their ship. They're celebrating their heroic actions on the island. The crew of the ship are celebrating with them because they were the heroes that saved the day. And hearing that they've fought undead, the squire who happens to be in that tavern comes up to them and says, "Can you help me? I'm willing to offer you this gold to protect my village." Now, the characters have just come off a ship, so they need to buy horses, and that's where the campaign started to go wrong. Because instead of trying to buy horses, the charismatic sorcerer talks the person selling horses into giving a low price. Well, that works. He gets a hefty discount. Well done to him. The second player tries the same, but he's an uncharismatic dragonborn fighter, and things go a little wrong. It ends up with him trying to get a discount by holding his sword at the throat of the guy selling the horses. And the guy sells him the horse, but as soon as they're out of sight, calls the town guard, they get chased out of the town, and things go a little wrong. However, a couple of the characters can remain in, and they set up with the squire, they journey outside, they meet up with their friends with horses, and they travel to the village. Now, so far so good. We've had a little wander. The players know that if they do naughty things, they get punished because they got chased out of the town. But I thought things were back on track. However, the kids' characters arrive in the village. They have various adventures on the way. They encounter various monsters. They do various things. But they arrive in the village. And unfortunately, they decide that instead of protecting the village and fighting all these undead, it's going to be far easier for them to rob the squire. Now, first of all, they try and inspire the villagers to rise up against the squire. But after a couple of failed rolls, I point out that they're the new guys in town, and this squire's been the one protecting them. He's the guy reaching into his own pocket to hire people to try and protect the village. They have no reason for trusting the players. And things go very wrong. They attack the squire, his bodyguard fights back, the villagers see this, and the players end up slaughtering the population of the village. They cast water summoning spells and flood it, they cast ice spells to freeze it, and then when the villagers, who are basically 0 or 1st level villagers, they are completely unable to defend themselves against characters who are now reached 4th level through the first adventures, but they get slaughtered. They're frozen in place in the ice, they get beheaded, they die in the magic blasts. A village of about 20 people gets killed. To cover up what they've done, the players then set fire to the village. They burn it down. They burn the horses in their stables. They slaughter everything. They encounter someone as they leave the village who's asking where it is. You know, they've travelled a few hours outside. "Oh, can you tell me the way to the village?" They kill him in case he's a witness. They have become absolutely psychopathic murderers at this point. And what's worse, they've heard about this necromancer. The necromancer's been watching them do it because she was observing the heroes as they arrived anyway. And they decide they want to work for her. They contact this necromancer, they find a way of speaking to her, and basically come to an alliance with her. So suddenly my campaign has switched. Instead of them being the heroes who hear about the evil necromancer and start working against her, now we're running a campaign where they're the hirelings of an evil necromancer who wants to take over the country, who wants to take over all the Forgotten Realms, because that's where I'm running my campaign. And instead of them being people who will meet my old character, who will take them on as the heroes of the Silver Crowns and be their mentor, now she's basically their enemy. And instead of them finding out about the necromancer robbing her, which was my path for them encountering her, they're now the ones being sent to rob my old character. And I don't really see where it goes. I have to admit, I'm a lot happier games mastering good characters. It's easy to keep good characters motivated. They're saving people. Yes, they'll get gold. Yes, they'll get magical items, but they're doing the heroic actions. And now I'm running an evil campaign. Now, I've not punished any of them for alignment violations or anything. I've not even punished the druid, although I did consider it when they slaughtered the horses, because that's not really done in 5e anymore. But I don't know how to motivate evil characters apart from just giving them stuff. Oh yeah, the evil necromancer offers you magical items to do this. Oh, the evil necromancer offers you gold to do this. They're not great motivators to me, but we're seeing where it goes. So here we are, not with just the adventure I'd written thrown out the window, where they would go down into the crypts and fight the undead and encounter the necromancer, but with my entire campaign ideas thrown out of the window. There is nothing which I'd prepared before which is savable. We're now running an evil campaign where the kids are out to gain power. They wish to not have anyone ruling over them. They don't necessarily want to rule, but they want to destroy the power structures. And I have to admit, apart from just letting them do what they want, which doesn't strike me as being very challenging, I'm a little stuck as to what I do next. But it's going to stretch my games mastering skills. So I thought I'd shoot this wee video to update you on how my Dungeons & Dragons plans went out the window, how the players destroyed all my plans, and how I'm stumbling through. I'll try and keep you updated, and hopefully I'll come up with something interesting for them. I've written out some plans for the next few sessions, which should keep things going, but who knows where it will go next. Perhaps the players will just decide to kill the necromancer, and devastation will ensue. We shall see, and I'll keep you updated. But as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing, but most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.